The evening air was cool and quiet when Kang Taemin stepped onto his back porch. He held a cup of tea in his weathered hands, the same hands that once held weapons in distant star systems. That life was behind him now. 20 years of service in the Earth Defense Force had been enough. More than enough. Now at 45, he wanted only peace and silence. His small farmhouse sat on the edge of town, surrounded by fields and trees. Most people left him alone, which was exactly how he liked it. The neighbors knew he was a veteran. They knew not to ask questions about the wars or the scars. They simply waved from a distance and moved on. Taemin sipped his tea and looked at the stars beginning to appear in the darkening sky. Somewhere up there, ships moved between worlds. Diplomats made treaties. Soldiers fought battles. But not him, not anymore. A sound broke the evening stillness. It was faint at first, almost like the wind. But Taemin's trained ears caught something different. Something that didn't belong. He set down his cup and listened carefully. There it was again, a soft whimpering sound coming from the backyard. He grabbed the flashlight from the porch rail and walked slowly across the grass. The sound grew louder as he approached the old apple tree at the far edge of his property. His military instincts kicked in automatically. His steps became quieter. His breathing steadied. His eyes scanned the shadows. The flashlight beam swept across the base of the tree and stopped. Taemin's breath caught in his throat. A child sat huddled against the trunk. But this was no human child. Her skin was pale blue, almost silver in the flashlight's glow. She wore torn clothing that looked like it had once been elegant. Her small body shook with sobs. But the most striking feature was the ring of soft golden light circling her head like a crown. It pulsed gently with each frightened breath she took. Taemin knew immediately what she was. He had seen pictures in military briefings years ago. A Valtine. A species from the royal sector, thousands of light years away. Their children were never supposed to leave their homeworld. They were protected by countless laws and treaties. The child looked up at him with large dark eyes filled with terror. She scrambled backward, pressing herself harder against the tree. She made sounds in a language Taemin didn't understand, but the meaning was clear. She was begging, pleading, terrified that he would hurt her. Taemin slowly lowered himself to one knee. He set the flashlight on the ground, pointing it away from her face. He raised his hands to show they were empty. "It's okay," he said softly, even though he knew she couldn't understand. "I won't hurt you." The child continued to cry, her small frame shaking. The crown of light on her head flickered and pulsed faster. Taemin had never seen a Valtine in person before, but he remembered the briefings. The crown wasn't decoration. It was part of their biology. Some kind of genetic marker. He stood slowly and backed away. The child watched him with wide, frightened eyes. Taemin walked to his house, his mind racing. This was impossible. How did a Valtine child end up in his backyard? Where were her parents? Her guards? Inside, he grabbed a blanket and a plate of food from his simple dinner. Rice, vegetables, some fruit. He had no idea what Valtines ate, but it was worth trying. He returned to the tree and placed the items on the ground several feet away from the child. Then he backed up and sat down on the grass. "Take it," he said gently. "You must be hungry." The child stared at the food. Then at him. Then back at the food. Minutes passed. Taemin didn't move. He had learned patience in the military. He could wait. Finally, the child crept forward. Her movements were slow and cautious, like a wild animal approaching a trap. She grabbed a piece of fruit and retreated quickly to the tree. She bit into it and ate hungrily. The crown on her head glowed a little brighter, a little steadier. Taemin felt something tighten in his chest. She was just a child, alone and terrified. How long had she been hiding in his yard? He stood slowly and gestured toward his house. "Come inside." "It's warmer there." The child shook her head violently and pressed against the tree again. Taemin nodded. "Okay, stay here then. I'll be back." He went inside and searched through his old military gear in the basement. It took 20 minutes of digging through boxes, but he finally found it. A small translation device, outdated but still functional. He had kept it as a souvenir, never thinking he would need it again. When he returned to the backyard, the child was still there. She had wrapped herself in the blanket and was clutching it tightly. Taemin activated the device and held it up. "Can you understand me now?" he asked. The device hummed and projected the words in Valtine symbols that floated in the air. The child's eyes widened. She spoke rapidly in her own language. The device translated her words into Korean. Please don't hurt me. Please don't send me back. They'll kill me. Taman felt ice run through his veins. Who will kill you? What happened? The child's voice broke as she spoke. Bad people. They attacked our ship.
My mother?
My mother put me in the escape pod. She told me to run and hide. She told me... The child dissolved into tears again. Taman's military training flooded back. An attack, an escape pod. He looked toward the forest beyond his property. Is your pod nearby? Show me. The child hesitated, then nodded. She stood on shaky legs and began walking toward the trees. Taman followed, keeping the flashlight aimed at the ground in front of them. They walked for about 15 minutes into the forest until they reached a small clearing. The escape pod was half buried in the dirt, partially hidden by fallen branches. It was small, barely large enough for one person. The metal was scorched black. Deep gouges marked the hull. This pod had barely survived the landing. Taman examined it carefully. His military experience told him everything he needed to know. This pod had been launched in an emergency. It had crash-landed hard, and most importantly, it was completely dead. No power, no communications, no way to signal for help. He found a small device still clutched in the pod's control panel, a holographic projector. He activated it and an image flickered to life. It showed a large ship in space, beautiful and elegant, clearly a diplomatic vessel. Then the image changed. Fire and explosions, figures running, and finally, a woman with the same crown of light on her head, placing the child into the pod with tears streaming down her face. Taman closed his eyes. He had seen enough war to know what this meant. The ship was gone. Everyone aboard was likely dead. What's your name? He asked gently. The child wiped her eyes. Hana. Hana, Taman repeated. It was a simple name, beautiful. I'm Taman. Come with me back to the house. You'll be safe there. Hana looked at him with those large dark eyes. Promise? Taman thought about his quiet life, his desire for peace, his determination to stay away from anything connected to the wars and politics of the galaxy. All of that seemed very far away now. This child needed help. She needed protection, and he was the only one here, I promise, he said. They walked back through the forest together. Hana stayed close to him now, no longer afraid. The crown on her head glowed softly in the darkness, lighting their way home. 3 days had passed since Taman found Hana in his backyard. She now slept in his spare room, the one he had kept empty for years. He gave her clean clothes, warm food, and a safe place to rest. But the fear still lived in her eyes. The translation device helped them talk, but words could only do so much. Trust took time. Taman knew this. He had learned it in the military when working with alien allies. Some bonds couldn't be rushed. Each morning, Hana woke up screaming from nightmares. Taman would sit outside her door, speaking softly until she calmed down. He never entered without permission. He never made sudden movements. Slowly, very slowly, she began to relax around him. On the 4th morning, Hana came downstairs on her own. Taman was making breakfast in the kitchen. He looked up and smiled. Good morning. Are you hungry? Hana nodded and climbed into one of the chairs at the small table. The crown on her head glowed dimly in the morning light. Taman noticed it was brighter when she was afraid and dimmer when she felt calm. Right now it pulsed softly, somewhere in between. He placed a plate of food in front of her. Rice, eggs, and fruit. Hana ate slowly, watching him with careful eyes. Hana, Taman said gently, can you tell me more about what happened? About the attack on your ship? Hana's crown flickered brighter. Her small hands gripped the fork tightly. For a moment, Taman thought she wouldn't answer. Then she spoke, her words translated by the device. I am Princess Hana. My mother is Queen Seori of the Valthine people. We were traveling to Earth for peace talks with your government, but our ship was attacked 3 days away from your planet. Taman felt his chest tighten. A princess. He was hiding a princess in his house. This was far more serious than he thought. Who attacked you? He asked. I don't know, Hana said, her voice small. They wore black armor. No symbols, no flags. My mother's guards fought them, but there were too many. Mother put me in the escape pod. She told me to find help. She told me, Hana's voice broke. She told me she loved me. Then she closed the door. Taman reached across the table and gently placed his hand over Hana's small one. Your mother was brave. She saved you. Is she dead? Hana whispered. I don't know, Taman answered honestly. He wouldn't lie to her. Children deserve truth even when it hurt. But she made sure you survived. That means something. Hana pulled her hand away and wiped her eyes. The crown on her head pulsed rapidly, bright with emotion. Taemin watched it carefully. That crown was beautiful, but it was also dangerous. It marked Hana as royalty. Anyone looking for her would recognize it immediately. Later that day, Taemin turned on his old television to check the news. He rarely watched anymore, preferring the quiet of his farm, but now he needed information. The news anchor was talking about a missing Valthene diplomatic vessel. The ship had failed to arrive at Earth 3 days ago. Search and rescue teams were looking for debris. No survivors had been found. The Valthene government was demanding answers. Taemin turned off the television. His mind raced with possibilities. If Hana's attackers were still looking for her, they would search Earth. They would scan for Valthene life signs. They would look for that crown. He went to his basement and searched through more old military equipment. He found what he was looking for in a dusty box. A signal scanner. He activated it and pointed it at the ceiling, toward where Hana was playing in her room. The scanner beeped immediately. A clear, steady signal. The crown was transmitting. Not loudly, but enough. Enough for anyone with the right equipment to find her. Taemin's blood ran cold. He climbed the stairs and knocked on Hana's door. "Come in," she called. He entered to find her sitting on the floor, drawing pictures with crayons he had bought her in town. The drawings showed figures with glowing crowns. Her family, he realized. "Hana, I need to ask you something important. Can your crown be turned off?" Hana looked confused. She touched the ring of light on her head. "No, it's part of me." "It's always there, why?" "Because it's sending out a signal. If bad people are looking for you, they might be able to find that signal." Hana's eyes went wide with fear. The crown blazed bright. "They'll find me? They'll kill me." "Not if I can help it," Taemin said firmly. He knelt down beside her. "I'm going to keep you safe. But I need to make some preparations. Can you be brave for me?" Hana nodded, though tears ran down her face. Taemin felt something break inside his chest. She was trying so hard to be strong. Just like his daughter had tried to be strong all those years ago. His daughter, Ji-won. She would have been about Hana's age if she had lived. Taemin closed his eyes against the memory. Ji-won had died in an attack on a colony world. He had been away on duty. He couldn't save her. The guilt had eaten at him for years. It was part of why he had retired. Part of why he lived alone now. But here was another child who needed saving. And this time he was here. He could help. That evening, a military vehicle pulled up to Taemin's house. He tensed immediately. He told Hana to hide in the basement behind some boxes. She obeyed without question, her trust in him growing. The person who knocked on his door was someone he knew, Major Park Yuna. They had served together years ago, though she had stayed in the military while he retired. She was a good soldier, smart and capable, Taemin, she said with a slight smile. "It's been a long time." "Yuna, what brings you out here?" "Official business, I'm afraid. We're investigating potential crash sites in this area. Have you seen or heard anything unusual in the past few days?" Taemin's face remained calm. Years of military training helped him lie convincingly. "No, nothing. It's been quiet out here like always." Yuna studied him carefully. "You're sure? No strange lights in the sky? No unusual sounds?" "I'm sure. Why? What crashed?" "Can't say. Classified." Yuna looked past him into the house. "Mind if I look around?" Just routine. This was a problem. If Yuna searched the house, she might find Hana. But if he refused, she would become suspicious. "Of course," he said, stepping aside. "Look wherever you want." Yuna moved through the house professionally. She checked the rooms upstairs. She examined the backyard. Taemin's heart pounded, but he kept his expression neutral. Finally, Yuna approached the basement door. "What's down there?" "Just old junk. Military gear I never threw away." Yuna opened the door and looked down the stairs. She flicked on the light. Taemin held his breath. But Yuna only glanced around from the top of the stairs. She didn't go down. She couldn't see Hana hiding behind the boxes in the dark corner. "All right," Yuna said, closing the door. "Sorry to bother you. If you see anything, report it immediately. This is important." "I will," Taemin promised. After Yuna left, Taemin led Hana out of hiding. She was shaking, her crown blazing bright with fear. "That was close," he said. "Too close." That night, Taemin couldn't sleep. He sat in his kitchen drinking tea and thinking. The authorities were searching. Soon they would search more carefully. They might bring equipment that could detect Hana's signal. He needed help. Real help. He pulled out an old communication device and entered a code he hadn't used in 5 years. The device beeped twice, then connected. A rough voice answered. "This better be good. It's 3 in the morning. Dongha," Taemin said. "I need a favor." Lee Dongha had been in Taemin's unit during the war. After retiring, he had become a smuggler. Not a violent criminal, just someone who moved things quietly between worlds for people who needed discretion. If anyone could help hide Hana, it was him. "Taemin, is that really you? What's wrong?" "I can't explain over the comm. But I need equipment. Signal blockers. Maybe passage off-world if things get dangerous." There was a long pause. "You're in trouble." "Not me. Someone I'm protecting. A child," another pause. "I'll be there tomorrow night. Don't do anything stupid until I arrive." The line went dead. Taemin set down the device and looked up at the ceiling. Above him, Hana was sleeping. Or trying to. He could hear her moving restlessly, probably having another nightmare. He climbed the stairs and knocked softly on her door. "Hana, are you awake?" "Yes," came the small voice. "Can I come in?" "Okay." He entered and sat in the chair beside her bed. Hana was curled under the blankets, only her face and glowing crown visible in the darkness. "I'm scared," she whispered. "I know, but I'm going to keep you safe. I promise." "Why?" Hana asked. "Why are you helping me?" "You don't know me." Taemin was quiet for a moment. "I had a daughter once. Her name was Jiwon. She died when I wasn't there to protect her. I can't save her, but I can save you." Hana reached out from under the blankets and took his hand. Her small fingers squeezed his larger ones. "Appa," she said softly. It was the Korean word for father. Taemin felt tears sting his eyes. He squeezed her hand back. "Sleep now. I'll watch over you." He sat in that chair all night, watching over her as she finally fell into peaceful sleep. Lee Dongha arrived exactly when he said he would. Taemin heard the quiet hum of his ship landing in the field behind the house just after midnight. He went out to meet his old friend while Hana slept inside. Dongha looked the same as he had 5 years ago. Lean and tough, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. He carried a large bag over his shoulder and clasped Taemin's hand firmly. "You look terrible," Dongha said. "When was the last time you slept?" 2 days ago. Come inside." Dongha followed him into the house. Taemin led him to the kitchen where they could talk quietly. He explained everything. The crash. Finding Hana, the crown signal. Major Yuna's visit. Dongha listened without interrupting. When Taemin finished, he let out a low whistle. "A Valthine princess. You really know how to pick them, don't you?" "I didn't pick anything. She crashed in my backyard. And you could have reported her to the authorities, but you didn't." Dongha studied him carefully. "This is about Jiwon, isn't it?" Taemin looked away. "Maybe. Does it matter?" "No, I suppose it doesn't." Dongha set his bag on the table and opened it. Inside were various pieces of equipment. "I brought what you asked for. Signal dampeners, fake identification papers, and this." He pulled out a small metal device that looked like a collar. "It's a crown suppressant. Experimental tech from the black market. It should hide the signal completely." "Should?" "Nothing's guaranteed. But it's the best I could find." Dongha's expression turned serious. "Taemin, you need to understand what you're dealing with. The people who attacked that ship, they're not random pirates. I've been hearing rumors. A group called the Eclipse Covenant. They're professionals, assassins, and they're still looking for the princess." Taemin felt ice in his veins. "Why? Why kill a child?" "Politics. The Valthine royal family is the key to keeping the peace accord stable. Without them, half the galaxy would go back to war. Some people want that. War is profitable if you're on the right side. That's insane. That's reality." Dongha closed the bag. "These people have resources, ships, weapons, informants. They'll find her eventually if you stay here." "Then what do I do?" "Get her somewhere safe. The Valthine embassy in the Shanghai neutral zone. It's 3,000 kilometers from here, but it's the closest place with proper security and medical facilities." Taemin thought about Hana. She had been looking weaker lately. The crown's light sometimes flickered irregularly. Whatever biology the Valthines had, she needed proper care. "Can you get us there?" "I can try, but it won't be easy. The Eclipse Covenant has people watching all the major transport routes. We'll need to go underground, literally." Dongha pulled out a datapad and showed Taemin a map. "Old subway tunnels. Abandoned train lines. Smuggler routes. It'll take us a week, maybe more. A week is too long. She's getting weaker. Then we move fast and hope we don't get caught. A small voice came from the doorway. Who are you? Both men turned. Hana stood there in the oversized shirt Tai Min had given her as pajamas. Her crown glowed softly in the dark hallway. She looked at Dong Ha with cautious eyes. Hana, this is Dong Ha. He's a friend. He's going to help us. Dong Ha knelt down to her level. Hello, princess. That's a beautiful crown you have. Hana touched it self-consciously. It won't turn off. Taemin says it's dangerous. It is, but I brought something that can help. He showed her the suppressant device. This will hide the light and the signal. But I have to be honest with you. It might hurt a little. Hana looked at Taemin. He nodded encouragingly. She took a deep breath and nodded back. I can be brave. Dongha carefully fitted the device around her head just below the crown. It activated with a soft hum. Hana gasped and grabbed Taemin's hand. Her crown's light flickered, then dimmed completely. Within seconds, it was invisible. Does it hurt? Taemin asked. It feels strange, Hana said, touching the device. Like something is pressing on my head. But I'm okay. Dongha checked his scanner. Signal's gone. This should buy you some time. But the device needs to recharge every 12 hours. During those charging periods, the crown will be visible again. Over the next 2 days, they prepared for the journey. Taemin taught Hana basic survival skills. How to stay quiet. How to hide. How to run if necessary. She learned quickly, driven by fear but also by trust in him. On the 3rd day, everything changed. Taemin was in town buying supplies when he noticed them. 3 people in civilian clothes, but their movements were wrong. Too precise. Too alert. Military training or something similar. They were asking questions at the shops, showing pictures on data pads. He kept his distance and watched. One of them approached the shop owner and showed him a picture. Taemin couldn't see it clearly, but he didn't need to. They were looking for Hana. He bought his supplies quickly and returned home. Dongha was teaching Hana a card game at the kitchen table. Both looked up when they saw his face. They're here, Taemin said. Eclipse Covenant operatives. In town. Dongha was on his feet immediately. How many? 3 that I saw. Probably more. We need to leave now. They gathered their supplies in minutes. Taemin had learned to pack efficiently during his military years. Everything they needed fit into 3 bags. Hana wore normal clothes with a hat to hide where her crown would be when the suppressant recharged. They were loading Dongha's ship when Taemin's communicator buzzed. It was Major Yuna. Taemin, don't answer your door. There are people coming to your area. Dangerous people. I don't know what's going on, but something isn't right about this investigation. What do you mean? I mean, I was ordered to stop searching for the crash site. Ordered to ignore certain areas. Someone in command doesn't want us to find that Valthene ship. Or survivors. Her voice was urgent. If you know something, if you found something, you need to be very careful. Taemin made a decision. Yuna, can you trust me? Yes, why? Then meet me at the old rail station outside town. 1 hour, come alone. He ended the call. Dongha looked at him like he was crazy. You're going to tell her. She can help us. She has military access, resources, and she's suspicious already. Better to have her with us than hunting us. They took Dongha's ship to the abandoned rail station on the outskirts of town. The building was old and crumbling, left over from before the new transit systems were built. It was the perfect place to meet without being seen. Yuna arrived exactly on time. She came alone as requested, but Taemin noticed she kept one hand near her weapon. When she saw Hana, her eyes widened. Is that Princess Hana of the Valthene royal family? Taemin confirmed. I found her 4 days ago. Her escape pod crashed in the forest behind my house. Yuna stared at Hana, then at Taemin, then back at Hana. Do you have any idea how much trouble you're in? Harboring a foreign dignitary without reporting it is a serious crime. I know, but the people who attacked her ship are here on Earth. They're still hunting her. I couldn't risk reporting it to authorities who might be compromised. Yuna was quiet for a long moment. Then she knelt down in front of Hana. Hello, Princess. I'm Major Park Yuna. Are you hurt? No, Hana said quietly. Taemin takes care of me. Yuna looked up at Taemin. You always did have a protective streak. Remember that colony rescue mission? You carried those kids for 3 kilometers under fire. This is different. No, it's exactly the same. You see someone who needs help and you can't walk away. Yuna stood up. All right, I'm in. What's the plan? Dong Ha explained about the journey to Shanghai, the underground routes, the need to avoid checkpoints. Yuna listened and nodded. I can help with that. I have military clearance. I can create diversions, make it look like you're traveling in different directions. Why would you risk your career for this? Dong Ha asked. Yuna's expression hardened. Because this morning I was ordered to arrest anyone found helping the missing princess. Not rescue. Arrest. Those orders came from Colonel Choi Min-seo, and he's never given an order that dirty in his life unless someone above him forced it. That tells me the corruption goes high. Really high. So if helping you means going against corrupt orders, then that's what I'll do. They spent the next hour planning. Yuna would return to base and file false reports about sightings in other regions. She would use her access to monitor military channels and warn them of any search teams. In 3 days, she would meet them at a checkpoint and use her clearance to get them through. As Yuna prepared to leave, Hana ran up to her and hugged her legs. Thank you for helping us. Yuna's tough expression softened. She patted Hana's head gently. Stay safe, little one. Listen to Taemin. He's one of the good ones. After Yuna left, they boarded Dong Ha's ship and took off. They flew low using the terrain to mask their signature. Dong Ha was an excellent pilot. He had to be, given his line of work. Hana sat between Taemin and Dong Ha in the cockpit, watching the landscape rush by below. Her suppressant device hummed softly. In a few hours, it would need to recharge, and her crown would glow again. They needed to be somewhere safe by then. Taemin, Hana said quietly, what if they catch us? They won't. But what if they do? Taemin looked down at her. Then I'll protect you, no matter what. That's my promise, Hana leaned against him. You're just like my mother. She promised to protect me too. Your mother was brave. She saved you. Do you think she's still alive? Taemin wanted to lie. Wanted to give her hope, but he had promised himself he would always tell her the truth. I don't know, Hana, I hope so. But even if she isn't, she made sure you survived, and I'm going to make sure you stay that way. Dong Ha glanced at them. Incoming message. It's on a military frequency. He put it on speaker. It was Yuna's voice, urgent and scared. Taemin, they know. Someone saw you leaving town. Eclipse Covenant ships are launching. They're coming for you. You have maybe 30 minutes before they reach your position. The message ended. Dong Ha cursed and pushed the ship faster. Hold on, he said. This is going to get rough. Dong Ha's ship raced through the sky just meters above the treetops. Taemin held Hana close as the ship shook and rattled. Behind them, 3 black ships appeared on the scanner. They were faster and better armed. We can't outrun them, Dong Ha said through gritted teeth. We need to get underground now. He banked hard to the left, nearly scraping the ship's hull against a cliff face. Ahead, an old tunnel entrance appeared. It had been built decades ago for a mining operation that never finished. Dong Ha aimed straight for it. Are you crazy? Taemin shouted. That tunnel is barely wide enough. Then I suggest you hold on tight. The ship plunged into darkness. Metal scraped against stone. Sparks flew. Hana buried her face in Taemin's chest, her small body trembling. But Dong Ha's piloting was masterful. He guided them through the narrow tunnel like a needle through thread. They emerged on the other side into a vast underground cavern. Dong Ha cut the engines and let the ship glide silently to a landing on an old maintenance platform. Everything went quiet except for the sound of their breathing. Did we lose them? Hana whispered. Dong Ha checked his scanner. For now. But they know we came this way. We can't stay here long. Taemin examined the damage to the ship. Several panels were torn. The main engine was leaking coolant. Can you fix this? Not quickly. We need another way out of here. Dong Ha pulled up a map on his datapad. These tunnels connect to the old underground transit system. If we can reach it, we can travel hundreds of kilometers without being seen from above. They gathered their supplies and left the ship. Hana's suppressant device beeped a warning. It was running low on power. Soon her crown would be visible again. The tunnels were dark and cold. Water dripped from the ceiling. Their footsteps echoed off the stone walls. Taemin kept Hana between himself and Dong Ha, protected on both sides. After an hour of walking, they reached an old subway station. The platform was covered in dust and debris. Ancient advertisements still hung on the walls, faded and torn. But the rails were intact, stretching into the darkness in both directions. This line runs all the way to the coastal region, Dong Ha said. From there, we can catch another tunnel network toward Shanghai. A sound echoed through the tunnel. Voices. Footsteps. The Eclipse Covenant had found them. Run, Taemin said. They ran down the platform and jumped onto the tracks. The voices grew louder behind them. Flashlight beams cut through the darkness. Then came the sound that made Taemin's blood run cold. Weapons charging energy blasts lit up the tunnel. One hit the wall beside them, spraying them with chunks of concrete. Another hit a support beam, causing part of the ceiling to collapse. Dust filled the air. There! Dongha pointed ahead. An old maintenance car sat on a sidetrack. It was rusted and ancient, but it might still work. They reached it and jumped inside. Dongha pulled out a tool and began hot-wiring the controls. Energy blasts continued to hit around them. One struck the car's roof, leaving a smoking hole. "Any time now," Taemin shouted. "Almost got it." The car's engine sputtered to life. Dongha grabbed the controls and pushed them forward. The car lurched into motion, slowly at first, then faster. They pulled away from their attackers, but more energy blasts followed them down the tunnel. Hana's suppressant device beeped again, then went silent. Her crown blazed to life, filling the car with golden light. She cried out in pain as the device released its hold. "It hurts. It hurts." Taemin pulled the device off her head. Without it, her crown shone like a beacon. Anyone with the right equipment would be able to track her now. "How long until it recharges?" he asked Dongha. 2 hours minimum. We need to put distance between us and them before then. The maintenance car carried them through the dark tunnels for what felt like hours. Finally, they emerged into a larger chamber. This had once been a major transit hub. Multiple tunnel lines converged here. Old trains sat abandoned on the platforms. Dongha stopped the car and checked his datapad. "We're about 500 kilometers from where we started. We're making good progress." Taemin looked at Hana. She was pale and shaking. The crown on her head flickered irregularly, like a candle about to go out. He felt her forehead. She was burning with fever. "She's sick. Really sick." Dongha knelt beside her and examined her carefully. "She needs medical attention. Valthine biology is different from ours. Without proper care," and he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. "How much farther to Shanghai?" Taemin asked. "At least 3 days if we keep moving and don't run into trouble." "She doesn't have 3 days. A new voice spoke from the shadows. "Then perhaps I can help." Both men spun around, weapons drawn. A figure stepped into the light. They weren't human. Their skin was covered in small scales that shimmered blue and green. Their eyes were large and multifaceted. Arethian, Taemin recognized, a species known for their medical knowledge. "Who are you?" Dongha demanded. "My name is Rin. I live down here in these tunnels. I saw your lights and came to investigate." The Rethian looked at Hana. "That child is very ill. I can help her, but we must hurry." "Why would you help us?" Taemin asked suspiciously. Rin looked at Dongha. "Because Li Dongha once helped me when no one else would. I owe him a debt." Dongha lowered his weapon slowly. "Rin, is that really you?" "I thought you'd left Earth years ago. I tried. But circumstances kept me here." Rin approached carefully. "Please let me examine the child. I know Valthine biology. I can stabilize her." Taemin hesitated, then nodded. What choice did he have? Hana was getting worse by the minute. Rin examined Hana with gentle, practiced movements. The Rethian's multiple eyes studied her crown carefully. "This is not good. Her crown is destabilizing. It's connected to her entire nervous system. If it fails completely, she will die. Can you fix it?" "I can stabilize it temporarily. But she needs to reach a proper medical facility soon. Days, not weeks." Rin pulled out a medical kit and began working. They injected Hana with several medicines. Her crown's light steadied. Her fever began to drop. After 20 minutes, Hana opened her eyes. "Taemin?" she whispered. "I'm here." "You're going to be okay." Rin stood up. "She's stable for now. But you must keep moving." The suppressant device did more damage than good. Her biology was fighting against it. "Don't use it again." "But they'll track her," Dongha protested. "Then you'll have to be faster and smarter than them. There's no other way." Rin led them through the tunnels to a hidden entrance that connected to another transit line. This one had working trains maintained by the underground communities that lived in the tunnels. "Take the third train," Rin said. "It will carry you another 1,000 kilometers toward the coast. From there, you're on your own." Dongha clasped Rin's arm. "Thank you. I won't forget this. Just protect that child." She's special. I can feel it. They boarded the train as Rin disappeared back into the shadows. The train was old but functional. It had been modified by smugglers and refugees who used these tunnels to move unseen across the country. As the train began to move, Taimin held Hana close. She was still weak, but her crown glowed steadily now. Its light reflected off the tunnel walls, creating patterns that danced around them. Taimin, Hana said softly. I'm scared. I know. What if we don't make it? We will, I promise you. You keep making promises. What if you can't keep them? Taimin thought about all the promises he'd broken in his life. Promises to his wife before she left him. Promises to his daughter before she died. Promises to keep his squad safe during the war. Then I'll die trying, he said honestly. That's all anyone can do. Hana was quiet for a moment. Then she reached up and touched his face. You're a good person. My mother would have liked you. Taimin felt tears sting his eyes. I would have liked to meet her. The train carried them through the darkness. Hours passed. Dongha took turns keeping watch while Taimin rested. But sleep wouldn't come. His mind kept racing, planning for all the things that could go wrong. They were 2 days from Shanghai, 2 days from safety. But those 2 days stretched ahead like an impossible distance. A message came through on Dongha's communicator. It was Yuna. Taimin, I have bad news. Eclipse Covenant forces have set up checkpoints on all the major routes to Shanghai. They're not even trying to hide anymore. Someone high up in the government is protecting them. I've been declared a traitor for helping you. They're hunting me too now. Where are you? Taimin asked. I'm safe for now. I'm going to try to reach Shanghai ahead of you. Maybe I can create a distraction. Buy you some time. But Taimin, there's something else. Eclipse Covenant's commander is on Earth now. They're calling him Vex. He's never failed a mission, never. If he's coming after you personally. The message cut off abruptly. Dongha and Taimin exchanged worried looks. A commander who never failed. That was exactly what they didn't need. The train emerged from the tunnels into an underground station near the coast. They could smell the ocean air mixing with the dusty tunnel smell. They were getting close. But as they stepped onto the platform, Taimin's instincts screamed danger. Something was wrong. The station was too quiet, too empty. Then he saw them. Dozens of armed figures surrounding the platform. And standing in the center, a man in black armor. He was tall and lean with cold eyes that showed no emotion. Commander Vex, I presume, Dongha said quietly. Vex smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. Li Dongha, former Earth Defense Force, now a smuggler with a conscience. How disappointing. His eyes moved to Taimin. And Kang Taimin, retired soldier playing hero. How noble. Then his gaze fell on Hana. The smile disappeared. Give me the child. Do it peacefully and you can walk away. Resist and you'll die here. Taimin pushed Hana behind him. That's not going to happen. I was hoping you'd say that. It's been too long since I had a real challenge. Vex raised his hand. His soldiers raised their weapons. Taimin and Dongha did the same. For a moment, everything was still. Silent. Then Hana's crown blazed with brilliant light. Not the gentle glow it usually had, but an intense, blinding radiance that filled the entire station. Everyone shielded their eyes. What's happening? Dongha shouted. Hana's small body lifted off the ground. Her eyes glowed with the same golden light. Energy pulsed from her crown in waves. The air itself seemed to vibrate with power. And then she screamed. Not in pain or fear, but in a voice that carried across dimensions. A distress call that traveled faster than light itself. The crown's light exploded outward in a massive pulse. Everyone was thrown backward. Taimin felt himself hit the ground hard. His ears rang. His vision blurred. When he could see again, Hana had collapsed. Her crown was dark, completely extinguished. Taimin crawled to her and gathered her in his arms. Hana, wake up! But she was unconscious, barely breathing. The pulse had drained everything from her. Vex was getting to his feet. Blood ran down his face from a cut on his forehead. But he was smiling again. Impressive, but futile. He aimed his weapon at Hana's unconscious form. Taimin covered her with his body. If you want her, you go through me. As you wish. The weapon charged. Taimin closed his eyes and held Hana tight. A sound like thunder filled the station. But it wasn't weapon fire. It was something else. Something massive. Taimin opened his eyes and looked up. The ceiling was opening. No, not opening. Being torn apart. Ships descended through the hull. Massive, elegant ships that gleamed like silver. Their hulls were covered in the same golden light as Hana's crown. Valthine warships. They had come for their princess. The Valthine warships filled the underground station with blinding light. Their weapons charged with a sound that made the ground shake. Hundreds of soldiers descended on beams of energy, their armor gleaming silver and gold. They moved with deadly precision, surrounding Vex and his forces in seconds. Vex looked around and realized he had lost. His soldiers dropped their weapons. Even a commander who never failed knew when the fight was over. A figure descended from the largest ship. She wore flowing robes that seemed to be made of light itself. Her crown was magnificent, 10 times larger and brighter than Hana's. But what caught Taemin's attention was her face. It was Hana's face, older and regal, but unmistakably similar. Queen Seori landed softly on the platform. Her eyes scanned the scene until they found Hana's unconscious form in Taemin's arms. Her expression broke with emotion. "My daughter," she whispered. She rushed forward and knelt beside them. "Hana, my precious Hana." Taemin gently placed Hana in her mother's arms. The queen held her child close, tears streaming down her face. Her crown glowed brighter, and some of that light seemed to flow into Hana. The child's crown flickered weakly in response. "She's alive," Queen Seori said, relief flooding her voice. "Weak but alive. Thank the ancestors, she's alive." Valthine medical personnel rushed forward with equipment. They carefully took Hana from the queen and began treating her. Taemin watched anxiously as they worked, feeling suddenly useless. For days he had been her protector. Now others were taking over. The queen stood and turned to face him. Her eyes studied him carefully. "You are the one who protected my daughter." It wasn't a question. Taemin nodded. "Yes, your majesty. What is your name?" "Kang Taemin. Retired soldier, Earth Defense Force." The queen's crown pulsed gently. "Kang Taemin." My daughter's distress call carried more than a location. It carried emotions, memories, love. She stepped closer. "She loves you as a father. In the days she spent with you, you gave her something precious. Safety, kindness, hope." Taemin didn't know what to say. He looked at Hana's unconscious form surrounded by doctors. "I only did what anyone would do." "No," the queen said firmly. "Most would have handed her to the authorities and washed their hands of the trouble. You risked everything, you and your friends." She looked at Dongha and then around the station. "Where is the third one?" "The military woman?" "Major Park Yuna," Taemin said. "She was helping us but got separated. The Eclipse Covenant declared her a traitor." The queen's expression hardened. "We will find her. We will also deal with the Eclipse Covenant and those in your government who aided them." She gestured to her soldiers. "Take Commander Vex and his people into custody. They will face justice for their crimes." Vex was dragged away, his cold expression finally showing emotion. Fear. Over the next hour, the situation was secured. The Valthine ships established a perimeter around the area. Earth's legitimate government was contacted. When they learned what had happened, there was immediate panic. Corrupt officials tried to run. They didn't get far. Yuna was found hiding in a warehouse near the coast. When Valthine soldiers brought her to the station, she looked exhausted but relieved. She saw Taemin and smiled weakly. "Did we win?" "We won," he confirmed. Queen Seori approached Yuna and bowed her head slightly. "You risked your career and your life for my daughter. The Valthine people will not forget this." Yuna looked uncomfortable with the formal attention. "I just did my duty, your majesty." "The right duty, not the one I was ordered to do. That makes it all the more honorable." The medical team finished their initial treatment of Hana. They carefully moved her to the flagship. The queen gestured for Taemin to follow. "Come, stay with her until she wakes. She will want to see you." They boarded the ship and were taken to a medical bay that looked more like a palace than a hospital. Everything was beautiful and elegant. Hana lay on a bed that seemed to float in the air. Her crown glowed softly now, steady and strong. Medical devices monitored her constantly, but the doctors looked satisfied. "She will recover fully," one of them told the queen. "The distress pulse drained her severely, but her crown is regenerating properly. She should wake within a few hours." Taemin sat in a chair beside the bed. He took Hana's small hand in his. The queen sat on the other side, holding her daughter's other hand. For a while they sat in silence. "Tell me how you found her," the queen said finally. Taemin told the story from the beginning, finding Hana in his backyard, her fear and tears, learning about the attack, the decision to protect her instead of reporting her, the days of building trust, the flight from the Eclipse Covenant, every moment of their journey. The Queen listened without interrupting. When he finished, tears ran down her face again. When the attack came, I had only seconds to decide, she said quietly. Save myself or save Hana. It was no choice at all. I put her in that escape pod and sent her away, not knowing where she would land or who would find her. I prayed to every ancestor that someone good would find her. Someone kind. She looked at Taemin. My prayers were answered. Your Majesty, what happened to your ship? How did you survive? My guards held off the attackers long enough for me to reach a different escape pod. I was badly injured, but I survived. My people found me 2 days later. Her expression turned sad. But we couldn't find Hana. Her pod signal was damaged. We searched desperately, but Earth is a large planet. We feared the worst. The Eclipse Covenant almost found her several times, but they didn't, because you kept her safe. The Queen squeezed Hana's hand gently. You gave her more than safety, Kang Taemin. You gave her family when she had lost everything. That is a debt that can never be fully repaid. Hana stirred. Her eyes slowly opened. She looked confused for a moment, then saw her mother. Mother, she whispered. You're alive? Oh yes, my precious one. I'm alive. And so are you, thanks to this brave man. Hana turned her head and saw Taemin. Her face lit up with joy. Appa. She tried to sit up, but the Queen gently pushed her back down. Rest, Hana, you're very weak. But Appa is here. And Dongha. And Yuna, are they safe? Everyone is safe, Taemin assured her. The bad people are gone. You're going home. Hana's expression changed. Joy turned to sadness. Home, but what about you? You're coming too, right? Taemin looked at the Queen, uncertain. I don't think I can, Hana. I'm not Valthine. I don't belong there. You belong with me. Hana's crown flared brightly with emotion. You're my Appa now. You promised to protect me. You promised. Hana, please, she begged, tears streaming down her face. Please don't leave me. The Queen watched this exchange with thoughtful eyes. Finally, she spoke. Kang Taemin, I would like to make you an offer. A position in the royal court as Hana's guardian and cultural liaison to Earth. You would teach her about humanity, while we teach her about being Valthine. You would help bridge our two peoples, making sure this tragedy never happens again. Taemin stared at her in shock. Your Majesty, I'm just a retired soldier. I'm not qualified for— You saved my daughter's life. You earned her love and trust. You showed her the best of what humanity can be. That makes you more qualified than anyone. The Queen's expression softened. I am not asking you to give up your life on Earth. You may return whenever you wish. Maintain your home. Visit your friends. But be part of Hana's life. Be the father figure she has chosen. Taemin looked at Hana's pleading face. He thought about his empty house, his quiet, lonely life, the daughter he had lost and could never save. Here was a chance to protect someone again, to be a father again. Not to replace Jiwon, nothing could do that, but to honor her memory by caring for another child who needed him. Yes, he said quietly. I accept. Hana's face exploded with joy. She tried to sit up again, and this time the Queen let her. Hana threw her arms around Taemin's neck and held on tight. Thank you, Appa. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Taemin hugged her back, feeling tears on his own face now. You're welcome, little one. The next few weeks were busy. The Eclipse Covenant's leadership was arrested across multiple worlds. The corrupt Earth officials who had aided them were exposed and removed from power. New protections were established for diplomatic vessels. Peace accords were strengthened. Dongha was given a full pardon for his smuggling activities and offered a legitimate position as a liaison between worlds. He accepted, joking that going straight might be an interesting challenge. Yuna was cleared of all charges and promoted. She was assigned to head a new joint task force between Earth and the Valthine to prevent future threats. She took the job seriously, determined to make sure no other child would suffer like Hana had. As for Taemin, he divided his time between Earth and the Valthine homeworld. The planet was beautiful beyond description. Cities of light and gardens that seemed to glow with their own radiance. The people were kind and welcoming, though their customs were very different from human ones. Hana thrived. She learned about her heritage and her responsibilities as a princess. But she also learned about humanity from Timon. He taught her about Earth culture, human history, and the value of simple things like planting gardens and fixing old machines. 6 months after the rescue, Timon returned to his farmhouse on Earth. Hana came with him along with a small security detail that stayed carefully out of sight. It was her first time seeing the place in daylight. "This is where you found me?" she asked, looking at the old apple tree. "Yes, you were so scared. I didn't know if you would trust me." "I was right to trust you," Hana said, taking his hand. "You kept every promise." They walked to the backyard together. Timon had brought something special with him. A sapling from a Valthine spirit tree. These trees were sacred to Hana's people, planted to mark important events and bonds. Together, they dug a hole and planted the tree beside the apple tree. The spirit tree's bark glowed faintly with golden light, just like Hana's crown. "What does this tree mean?" Hana asked. "It means family," Timon said. "Two different trees from two different worlds growing together in the same soil, taking care of each other, just like us." Hana hugged him tightly. Her crown glowed warmly, no longer a symbol of fear but of hope and love. "I love you, Appa." "I love you too, Hana." They stood there together as the sun set over the farmhouse, casting long shadows across the yard. In the distance, both Earth and the stars seemed to shine a little brighter. Timon had spent years running from his past, hiding from his pain, living a half-life of solitude. But sometimes life gives you a second chance you never expected. Sometimes a crying child crashes into your backyard and changes everything. He looked at Hana and smiled. He hadn't been able to save his daughter, but he had saved this one. And in doing so, he had saved himself. The spirit tree's leaves rustled in the evening breeze, glowing softly. And if you listened carefully, you might have heard it whispering a simple truth that both humans and Valthines understood. Love transcends everything: species, worlds, even grief. When you open your heart to protect someone else, you might find that they protect you right back. And sometimes that's enough to light up the darkest night. The crown glowed. The tree grew, and two souls from different worlds found the family they both needed.